Okay, guys. Apparently my connection is weak, and I think that it just kicked me off. I was about 7 minutes into my live video, and Facebook just ended my live and went to my homepage. So if you were planning on watching that one, I have a new one for you. I don't think anybody actually saw the other one, so that's okay. Alright. Primal connections and finding balance in nature. So all this week we've talked about using nature to improve our quality of life, basically. Using it to reset our biological clocks, or internal clocks, or circadian rhythm, sorry. Using it to recenter and refocus yourself, or stay grounded. We have talked about using it to help relieve stress and anxiety, and to meditate and overcome problems, to using nature to help you simply relax and have some fun, to find some adventure, having it, release those endorphins that help keep your whole body healthy. So, we talked about a lot these past couple of days, and I hope that some of you have watched my videos and hopefully got something out of them. So today I'm talking about primal connection, which kind of takes all of the other topics that we've covered and ties them all together. So finding balance in nature isn't just going out in the woods and looking at a tree. It's going out in the woods and being mindful of that tree. How old is that tree? How long has it been there? Can you imagine the things that that tree has survived through? Between maybe floods or fires, bucks rubbing it when their antlers are shedding, to bears climbing it, porcupines, birds pecking at it, maybe wild dogs peeing on it, humans coming through and painting on them or kicking them, or, there's a lot of things. I know, silly to talk about a tree surviving things, but it's a living thing, just like you and I. So anyhow, getting out there in nature, like I said, isn't just about looking at that tree. It's about appreciating what that tree has been through. It's about appreciating what the land brings to you and what that land enables you to accomplish. It enables us to live the lives that we're living today. So it's also about getting out there and appreciating our earth and being thankful that we have the resources available to us that we have today. It's also about realizing that you are a very minute piece of the big picture. Our world is full of a lot of strange animals and strange insects, strange reptiles, fish, and we're just one species of billions of different types. So when you think about it, our ancestors once lived on this earth, out in the woods or the desert or the beach, wherever they may have originated from. They lived out there in that wilderness with those wild animals and those bugs and the weird little creatures and critters that creep and crawl through the night. They were a part of that ecosystem and attached to it. They survived off of the land because that's the only thing that they knew, obviously. So our species evolved really fast. We went from not knowing how to start a fire to all of a sudden, we can build a fire. And it seems like all of a sudden we jumped from building a fire to building automobiles, traveling to outer space, developing Wi-Fi technologies and smartphones that can broadcast a live video to Facebook for people to use. There are no other species that have done that on this earth that we know of. So our species advanced really quickly. And because of those advances and because of our technologies, we have lost our primal connection with Earth. Maybe some of you haven't. A lot of us have. So getting out there and getting reconnected with the earth is a primal thing for us. I say primal because it's intuitive. It's your instinct. As a species, we are meant to be a thriving, active species that is outside, appreciating what we have all around us. And I know that when I go out in the woods and I spend a couple of hours, or my husband and I will go camping for a few days or a week, and we just disconnect from everything. Excuse me. We turn our cell phones off. I don't take my watch. I leave anything that is electronic at home. We take our cell phones. They're powered off. They're fully charged, powered off for an emergency only. Or to call, like when we have a little break, we'll call and check to see that our dogs are okay, because they usually have, we have somebody come in and watch them. So we disconnect from everything. I don't think about work. I don't think about what's going on at home. I don't think about what my family's up to. I am focused on connecting with my husband and spending time out in nature and allowing it to cleanse my mind, my spirit, and my body of all of the negative stuff that happens throughout the year, or that last month, or the last week, or even the day. There's sometimes I've had a particularly horrible day at work, and I come home and I just take my dogs and I go into the woods for a few hours and just roam around and do all of the things that I talked about earlier. So I call it like active meditation, where I'm walking through the woods and my mind's processing all of these things that happen throughout the day. And sometimes I talk out loud. I'll talk to my dogs, or I'm just talking to myself out loud. I know I kind of probably sound like a crazy person, but saying it out loud makes it real, and it enables your brain to process the emotions that are tied to what's bothering you, and it allows you to move on from it. So I say it out loud, and there's nobody around. I can say whatever I want. Nobody's going to hear me. So I get everything out, and I feel 100% by the time I return from my walk. I feel reconnected to nature. I have this renewed self-confidence, and I feel stronger, and like I can take on anything that life or anybody else throws at me. So being out in nature, it connects our primal intuitions and our primal instincts on a much deeper level than just saying, I'm really stressed out, I need to relax. That's a much deeper level than that. Our DNA is ingrained with that of our ancestors and how they lived. Our species as a whole isn't that old, and a lot of those traits that our ancestors had haven't fully evolved out of our species yet. And I feel that it would be an unfortunate thing to allow to happen to our species, because our Earth can't sustain a species that is as reckless and dangerous and careless as we are with it. That's a different topic, though. That's a little bit more political than I want to get into. Now, you may or may not agree with me about our primal nature, but when it comes down to it, humans are an animal, just like any other species that roams this earth on, and we're a part of our ecosystem. And to lose connection with that is sure to be devastating, not only to our land, but to our species as a whole. I think that our species as a whole benefits greatly from learning about nature, being out in it, seeing some of the miraculous things that nature offers. My mom, she's a country girl like me. We grew up in the country in the middle of nowhere, which is probably why I have such a deep passion for nature and keeping that primal connection to it, and I've always had it. When I was a little girl, I would spend hours walking through the woods all by myself. Not that my parents didn't worry. I didn't tell them that I was leaving. Yes, I got in trouble and I got grounded. But It didn't stop me from going out there and climbing trees and sitting under a big oak tree or a big pine tree and just watching Mother Nature take its course, whether it was watching squirrels or birds, chipmunks. Oftentimes I'd have deer come up and they'd be 10 feet away from me and just meandering on about, grazing on plants that they find on the floor. So to me, it's a really important connection to keep. But anyhow, so my mom, she lives out in the country, and this morning, or the other morning, one of these days this week, I think, she had a doe in her backyard, and it was acting weird. So she just stayed out on her porch and watched it. And after a while, she realized that there was a little baby fawn, maybe 10 inches high. The thing had just been born, probably that morning or that earlier that day or that night, trying to keep up with Mama, and it's all wobbling along. Like she said, it really looked like Bambi from the cartoon, right? Like, that's an amazing thing to see. And it's really awesome to be able to witness something like that. And if you are somebody that lives out in the city, like maybe you live in New York City, Philadelphia, or out in LA, I guarantee that if you get on Google and you look hard enough, you can find a really, really nice park near you, or you can find a really nice recreational area that has a big section of forest that you can go hiking through. I guarantee there's hiking trails near you that don't have buildings and skyscrapers surrounding them and millions of people walking and giving off all of their negative vibes to you. So our primal connection, like I said, it goes much deeper than just going out in the woods and clearing your mind. It's a feeling that you have deep down in your soul that you are a part of something much greater and much bigger than yourself. So this is kind of my wrap up for the series. And that primal connection is something that I encourage you to get out there and try. If you're not already there, I want you to take one day when the weather's nice and just spend it in the woods and focus on some things. Now, don't just focus on your problems. Focus on the beautiful scenery that is all around you. Focus on how the birds sound, and if you find some wildlife roaming around, stand there and watch it for a while. Hike to a beautiful overlook that overlooks a beautiful landscape or something. It takes your breath away. So my encouragement to you is to even do some research on primal connections. I tried to look up some stuff. I didn't really find a whole lot. There's a couple of books out there. My husband's cousin's daughter actually wrote one of them, and I'll share that with you all. I haven't read it yet, but I do plan on reading it. And there was one other one that I found, and it has to deal with like a paleo lifestyle. And paleo is pretty primal. Also, our ancestors ate a pretty lean diet of mostly berries and vegetation. It took a lot of energy to hunt things for meat, so they were more foragers than they were hunters. Alright guys, I need to get off of here. I'm going to finish writing the blog, and I will go into as much detail as I can about the primal, our primal connection to nature, and how it's a deeper connection to our spirit, our soul, than most people realize. I hope that you guys will join me next week for my new series. We are going to start a lesson on land navigation or orienteering. And my husband is going to be teaching me these things. I've learned a lot from him already, but he is 21 years in the Army, and so we'll be using a military system which is a little bit different from the civilian maps. So I apologize for that in advance, but it is a really great system. And if you are just getting into hiking and getting out there in the woods and adventuring, I highly recommend that you tune into it. Or if you don't want to watch me, that you do some research and learn how to use a map and a compass. Every year you hear horror stories of people that get lost out there in the woods because they don't know how to navigate the land. So our series is going to consist of learning how to read a map, what all of the what the legend and the keys mean. So all of the little symbols that are on it, we're going to learn what all those mean. We're going to learn how to read a topographical map, so you'll learn what the numbers on all the contours of the map mean. And then that'll be like probably one lesson, just learning how to read the map. And then we'll go into learning how to use a compass. So it's going to be a great series. I'm really excited about it because this stuff is just, it's so awesome, right? It's so awesome to be able to go out there in the woods without your phone to use for GPS, without some sort of electronic device, and just navigate the land. That's another thing that we'll learn, is actually land nav without a map. So if you find yourself out in the middle of the woods and you get turned around somehow, I'm going to share with you some ways that you can reorient yourself and find your way out without a map or a compass. Alright guys, I really hope to see you all on Monday. Sunday's my day off, so I'm not working and I will not be posting a video. I would love to hear any comments that you guys have or stories that you have involving your primal connection to the earth and nature, or any pictures that you have from your like camping trips or hiking trips. I would love for you to share them with us. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope you all had a great Mother's Day, and I will see you Monday.